One of the things I really enjoy about the things we get to do is particularly I get to do in my role now at the flowers companies is to author a weekly newsletter called the Celebrations Pulse. What's happened over the last 5 years of writing the Pulse is that we've created a community of people who enjoy the content we produce, maybe learn from it, and certainly contribute to it. Things that they want to hear about, things they want to comment on. And I have a few notes we've received from members of the Celebrations Pulse community that I'd like to share with you today. One is a caregiver story from a Monica. Monica writes to us saying, "My brother Wayne was born with Down syndrome and developmental disabilities. Our mother passed away when I was 15 and Wayne was 10. 6 years later, our father passed and life became more challenging. After being placed in residential homes in New York State over the last 35 years, God placed it on my heart to take care of my brother personally. So I have been learning and trusting in my faith in God to provide what I lack. Although I am his sister, legal guardian, and caregiver provider, the real hero is my brother Wayne. As his caregiver, I learn so many different things every day. He has taught me patience, to be grateful and appreciative of the freedoms and choices and not take them for granted. Even though many of us are caregivers, some of us go unseen. God sees us though, and He knows He's in our hearts. It's a beautiful story and a personal one for me in that you may know that I have a brother, Kevin, who's was born with developmental disabilities. We're blessed though because I'm the oldest of five children, and all of us have stayed geographically close because Kevin is the centerpiece of our family. So Monica's concern and care, and now her total selfless giving just resonate, and it's something we aspire to be like her and to celebrate her. And I think one of the challenges we have when dealing with an elderly parent, a sibling that has challenges, or one of our children or a friend, you think about, oh, my life's not perfect now because I have this other set of responsibilities. I think we're given challenges that we can and should handle. And I think we just need to change the lens in our glasses to say what a gift this can be. And trust me, I don't feel that way all the time. But when you reflect and when you bring yourself back to center, I think it's important to reflect on the opportunities we have to serve other people and to make our lives richer and fuller in different ways that might seem like the perfect way. Monica, you're a special person. You're doing good work. And yours is definitely a caregiver story, but I'd say more a love story. I have a letter here that we received from Lizel. Lizel tells us that she has an elderly neighbor who has no remaining family that they know of, and she lives alone on a piece of property that she has managed and has even built her own home on it many years ago. She is currently struggling to remain living in her home with her cat due to increased issues with memory, uh, self care, and safety concerns. There are a few neighbors that have stepped up and are checking on her on nearly a daily basis, bringing her food, taking her shopping, taking her to doctor's appointments. They make sure she has food at home, clean clothes to wear, cat food and litter for the litter box. They helped her. They helped order her an alerting device in case she falls at home. They are working hard to figure out whether she can continue to remain in her beloved home, and it gets more challenging all the time. She's so grateful for the support of this shared community of neighbors, their concern for our comfort and respect for her autonomy, trying to alleviate loneliness and isolation one person at a time. It's a wonderful story, and instead of us looking at the friends around us who we think have the perfect life, health and happiness, good family, friends. I think Lizel and this community of neighbors are creating a community that's pretty darn perfect too. It's a burden, but we're meant to take on different kinds of responsibilities and burdens. And I think a special community forms when a group of people comes together with a common goal and a common caring. And it's just wonderful to see. I think in my network of friends is a couple in particular that come to mind when I read Lysel's note to us. Uh, a very close friend whose wife has Alzheimer's and has had for a long time, and to see how he's devoted himself to caring for her and I think he's a saintly kinda guy, and I think he's Lysol-esque in terms of caring for other people and doing the right thing. He's a hero to me. And I have another friend who goes out of his way to make sure one of us who's in our 90s, our friend is in his 90s, and my friend Jim always makes sure he takes care of him, that he's involved, that he's going out socially, that he's getting home properly. And I just admire that so much about Jim and how he's making sure that this other friend of ours who's on in years and lost his wife a few years ago, that he's properly cared for. He's got a big family and he's got capabilities, and he's still very active and with it. But Jim goes out of his way to make sure he's always taken care of and always included, and that's why I admire and respect him so much. So, the question for all of us is, who in our life could we help, and how does that benefit us, even though we don't think of it that way? But I think it does, and the sense of community coming together to help somebody else, it's pretty magical. I have a nice note here. Speaking of caregivers, from Linda. Linda writes to us that our family has had generations of caregivers. Our maternal grandmother took care of our grandfather when he developed blood cancer, and then our mom took care of our grandmother when she developed the same cancer. Our mom raised 5 kids, and our dad was was a nurse who took care of our dad for 17 years after a stroke. 17 years. 3 of us were raising young families far from our parents' home in Illinois. Mom and us then gave up caring for our aunt who ended up in memory care. It was a tough few years, but we learned a lot about ourselves and the inadequacies of elder care in the U.S. Our mom now is 88 years old, soon to be 89. So for the last couple of years, the 5 adult siblings have been rotating care for our mom who has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. We are grateful for our spouses and adult children who have picked up the slack in our own homes so that we can care for our mom, who has cared for so many for decades. The 6 grandchildren have now been a part of this caregiving journey, continuing our family's generations of caring for each other through the good times and the painful ones. Wonderful story, and I think as we have changed as a country here in the United States over the last, say, in my lifetime, 3, almost 4 generations, where I grew up, the we didn't have elder care. We were multi-generational in a home, and I think that was something special. It's just different now. Not every place, but most places, it's not the case. And here's a wonderful story where generations are learning what responsibility is, what caring is. It's not just a burden; it's an opportunity. And I think there's such a lesson to be learned there in that multi-generational learning activity when there's different stages of caregiving. I have 7 grandchildren. Mary Lou and I have 7 grandchildren, and I'm particularly pleased in recent weeks and months to see how much the next generation, our children, are taking on a sense of responsibility to make sure my brother Kevin is cared for. And it's one of the most rewarding things in my life to see the next generation say, "Hey, we can help too." And not only do we think it's a responsibility, but we think it's an opportunity. And then when they take Uncle Kevin out for dinner and they have Uncle Kevin over their house for the weekend, their kids are learning a great deal about responsibility, about family, about people with special kinds of needs. I think, Linda, you and your family are doing God's work, and you're educating your children and the next generation in very special ways. It's unmeasured, but really, really important.